Hey there, welcome to Hermit Haven. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jackie. We're so excited to invite you into our safe space. Hermit Haven is like a cozy little hideout where we can celebrate being confident in ourselves as we find happiness in quiet moments.
So grab your favorite blanket and your favorite drink, and let's dive into today's episode.
Hi, I'm Jackie. Welcome back to Hermit Haven.
Hi, I'm Ashley. We are so excited to have you this week. So we are currently talking about what everyone I feel like talks about in the beginning of almost the beginning of the year, like around this time, is how can I show up to 2026 as this better version of me? And we did talk about in the last episode, like you're already there. You just have to maybe change some of your habits, change some of the things. But this episode, we want to talk about having to set a vision, but also being able to pivot, which is so important because you can set a vision for anything, but then if you feel that this is only like, if you feel that like I just have to follow this vision, you can't pivot, then you're never going to reach where you want to be. And what we do here, and I think we do this all the time to each other, is we're here to empower you and we empower each other doing these conversations. And so we want you to know that it's okay to pivot. It's okay to say, oh, this was my vision, but I actually now I'm thinking this, right? So I think, so I thought I failed at this goal, but I was redirecting me to something better is a good way to look at it too sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like I've heard so many times, like the analogy that like if you're on a road trip and something happens and like the road is closed, you don't just like turn around and head back home. You just figure out a different way to get there. And I feel like that's all life is. Like you have a plan, and sometimes, rarely, your plan goes the way that you think, and other times, most of the time, it doesn't. And you just kind of have to pivot and do things a little differently. And I like to think that it's like God redirecting me to where I'm supposed to be going because I feel like things do always work out, not always how I think they're going to work out, not always the path that I think, or sometimes it's like this is my goal and it is like slightly different, but like better. And so, yeah, I think that's what the pivots are. It's like little God nudges, like, hold on, gotta
Yeah.
redirect.
I think so many times too, we think we want something because we were told we want it, or we think we want it because we saw it, or we think we want it because that was something we wanted maybe 4 or 5 years ago, right? And so we think that we still need to have that because it was a big dream and goal we might have had, right? And we're just not over the fact that like it's not going to happen in this lifetime or right now in this season. And I think
Yeah.
that's part of that, like, I have this vision, I have this, but maybe it is time to like change that up, right? So I think this episode really is going to be about, I just want to kind of summarize it more, but I think this episode, we're going to break it down into why you should have a vision board a little bit, why you should pivot on that vision board if give yourself room, but we also want to talk about why you should reflect on last year's vision to bring yourself to this year's vision. I think that's where we should really start is I think so many times when we get into the season, we think, oh, new year, new me. And we just move on from this year. Like we literally
Yeah.
tuck this year under the covers or under the rug and we say, okay, bye bye. I'll see you never. We need to look back and we
Yeah.
need to say, what did I do this year? What did I accomplish? I had this like, I could not sleep last night whatsoever, but this little thing has to do with what we're talking about. But I kept thinking about how many times did I not give myself credit for something I did this year? And I just scooped it away and said, "Oh, it's just a normal thing." I literally did so much this year. I should give myself credit. And I think right there and then is like, okay, what can I go back into this year and give myself credit for? What can I go back in this year and say, that behavior wasn't the best. What can I do better? Or maybe those thoughts were not the best thoughts. They were really deep thoughts that were just not okay, right? How can I then, journal? How can I take care of my thoughts better? How can I take care of myself better? So when we're looking back in 2026, I think it's important to look at the good and the bad. And I think so many times we try not to look at the bad. And sometimes we don't try, and sometimes we forget about the good because the bad outweighs the good. And that's
Yep.
hard too.
Yep. That's me every time. Every time. I could do like a million things good and then I'm like, but then this happened and then I just like hone in on that and I'm like, it was like I'm terrible and blah blah blah, and all this stuff just starts coming to your head. I keep hearing it. I need to do this. I need to like somehow remind myself because I just honestly forget. But I keep hearing about girls that have lists of their
Mm,
wins. And it could just be a small one. It could be something as small as like I didn't feel like getting up today and doing a workout like at all. I was just like not about it. I was so tired or whatever, whatever it was, but I decided to because that rewires your brain. Like when you get up and do the thing that
Mhm.
you don't feel like doing, it tells your brain that you're the person that does that thing. Like it's so important. But anyway, they keep a list, like either in your notes or journal or wherever. They keep lists of all their wins, big or small, because when the bad things do happen, they can go back. Or when you're trying, this is what I need it for, when I'm trying to set a goal and I'm like, I don't know that I could achieve that goal, right? Like
Oh
it
my
just
gosh.
seems too big.
Yes.
But then I can go back and be like, but look at these things that I didn't think I could even accomplish, and I did. And that is that's why I really need to be writing them all down. It's like, but look at all these things I've accomplished in my life. Even if it's not like this month or this year, maybe it was past years. I just think it's so important. And one other thing I wanted to say was I can completely understand like wanting to put I hear this a lot. Like I just want to move into the next year. I want to put the year behind. It was a terrible year or whatever. Something happened recently and I just want to move in and they think like moving into January is just going to like solve the issue. Whatever. But and I can understand that. I've had like 2023 was a super hard year for me and so I can completely understand wanting to just get rid of it and move along. But I can promise you that if you do not go back and reflect on those hard things that you went through and process them a little bit, then you cannot move on. And so when we're talking about looking at 2020, and I don't think we were like getting that deep when we were talking about reflecting on 2025, but that's a lot. I've been hearing that all over the place. I don't know if it's just like my weird algorithm, but it's like people just like wanting to forget 2025. And I get there was a hard year, but you have to reflect on it. You have to, and so even if you didn't have a hard year and you had a great year, reflect on like what worked and what didn't work and what do you want to do better. It's so important before you make new goals and become the new
Mhm.
person.
I think too, like sometimes you don't realize your behavior patterns until you look back. I think sometimes you also don't realize that maybe the way you handled that situation didn't work wasn't the best way. Or sometimes you realize when you look back that you did handle that situation, right? And that whole time you've been like trying to say, oh, I messed up, right? And so many I think another thing is to like you were saying, to write down like what you're doing amazing, all these things, and like having that list. It doesn't I think sometimes we think physically writing it, right? You can just open a note in your thing and say my wins and voice record yourself every single time.
Ooh. You
Like,
could just text yourself too. You could like voice
yeah,
record text yourself and you could just
yeah.
have a text from you to you.
You could even just open the notes and just like open it and just go, hey, da 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 da,
Yeah.
right? Or you could just text your bestie. And then at the end of the day, put that, go at the end of the day, like when you're journaling, just take 2 minutes to take all the things you sent to your bestie and write it down.
Uh,
But
we need to
I
remind
think
each other to do that.
something I know
Make
is
a note.
what?
Make a note to remind each other when I say something to you and you say something to me, you know I'm gonna forget. Be like,
Maybe I
write
should
that
keep
down.
yours. Maybe I should keep yours and you keep mine.
This is what you sent me this year. All right, go ahead.
I'm gonna give you a year in review. Also, you guys, if you guys have ChatGPT and you talk to ChatGPT will give you a year in a review if you ask it. It's insane. But something I do, also, by the way, I forgot to tell you all, my son is like right next to me. So if you guys hear the cute little noises and you guys think I'm not paying attention, I am. I just checking on him too because he's so cute. And he's just a smiley boy who wants to talk and be part of the episode. But something I notice I do is I will go back and I'll like I notice I journal a lot more when I'm sad than when I'm not sad. Like I think that's just a normal natural behavior. Like when we're happy, we're just kind of like in the flow. We don't, like we are like, oh, we have these emotions we feel so good about. Like when you're sad, you have these emotions you don't know what to do with. So you want to write them out, right? And I find sometimes when I go back and I see how I felt about something before, I realize that like maybe what I'm feeling this moment is just me, overthinking it or overreacting or over something. And I know that sounds crazy because you shouldn't say that about yourself. Like, this is natural how I feel. But when I go back and I see like, how I reacted in another situation, I say, ooh, maybe this is like a behavior issue that like I need to work on, right? Maybe this is like maybe the way I'm acting out on this, maybe the way I'm like doing stuff is just not okay, right? And I think that sometimes so we have to think about it like that too, in that way.
That's
In the
why I
bad,
love
the good
journaling.
way.
I
Like,
love,
you can look back on the good and be excited to see what you did, blah, 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 blah. But also
yeah,
look back at the bad and see, like, was that the best way I handled that situation?
yeah.
Right? Is that, is these feelings still valid? Or this is still, true? Like, sometimes you write stuff about someone in your journal because someone made you so mad. And then you go back and you read it and you say, wait, I think that person's still doing that. you know? And you don't
Yeah.
realize it. It's so funny that we're talking about this, but continue on this journey. But I went back and I was on the plane. You know how you have like no internet on the plane unless you like sign up for or whatever. And I like to just go screen free and I end up looking at my photos every time we fly. And I went back and I screenshot like all these old messages. And I was just like, I am so glad I'm not friends with these people. The way they talked to me in these messages was absolutely terrible. Like, absolutely terrible. And it's so funny to me because it's like, that's what I'm talking about. You go back and you start realizing that what you did, the decisions you made were right. The decisions you did were right. And if they weren't right, you also realize that. And then you start saying, okay, maybe in 2026, I'm going to be a more present person because I felt that I didn't give enough time here. Or maybe in 2026, this is something like maybe in 2026 you realize that maybe the person that you've been hanging out with it just keeps taking your time and your energy, and maybe there's someone else that's been texting you for the last year and you realize that you're not giving them enough time. Maybe it's time to invest in that person, right? I think that's what this reflection is about, is really realizing what can I bring into the next year that I love and what can I bring in the next year that I need to work on.
Yeah, like a little audit of your life and being honest, being honest like with yourself and with, the people that like you said you're giving your energy to. I as a people pleaser, I tend to feel bad if I don't give people my energy. And this year I did a lot of backing off. I did a lot of and I it feels weird to me, but like I did a lot of backing off and like just being like who actually deserves cuz time is precious and time is so short and my energy is you know, precious too. And I'm just careful about who affects it and what affects it. And, I was listening to this podcast the other day and this girl was talking about TikTok and she was like, I shamelessly will, what is it called when you hold the thing down and you say like, not interested? You can
Mm-hmm.
hold a TikTok down and you can say not interested. So it doesn't send more things like that for your
Well, that's cool. I
algorithm.
didn't even realize you can do that because it says that sometimes, and I'm like, but I'm actually watching this video. How can you ask me if I'm not interested?
Right. Well, you can tell it, like, if it's like and I've done that before, not very often because, like, I don't feel bad because something will come up and I'm just like, "Oh, I feel bad scrolling away." Like, I don't know, it was some sort of emotional TikTok. But she's like, I am very, like, very, I don't say the word anal, but, like, she's very, cautious about what she watches and she will go through and mark things as not interested. She's like, "If something comes up enough, I will block." She's like, "I block people, and it's not because I don't like them. It's just, like, they kept coming up on my feed too much." And she's like, "I want my algorithm, like, spot on to what's gonna help me grow and what's gonna keep me in a positive place." And, like, she's just very like, very conscious of it.
I
And I was
love
like,
that.
"That's amazing." Something else, this is kind of off topic, but kind of on topic, but I wanted to tell you anyway, so I'm telling you now. Um, I love journaling, but like Ashley said, this you reminded me of it. A lot of the time when I'm journaling, it's not like the happiest thoughts. Like I it's how I process, it's how I get stuff down, but usually it starts with something negative and then like I pump myself up or whatever, or I talk through how I'm feeling and like it's very helpful. But I have like a separate journal that I was like, I'm going to use this as like my happy journal and like my memory keeping journal and stuff like that. So this girl, same girl that talked about the TikTok thing, she was like, I will mark the page if it's a page that is a happy page that I want to go back to. So I don't know how people are following that journal, but maybe this will help someone too. And so because I don't want to go back and read how sad I was or like whatever, like I don't want to read all that. Like I don't want to be affected by that. That's not my energy right now. And so are you okay with that? All the things. But yeah, so she will mark down the page. And so I think I'm gonna start doing that. This is my whole round robin here to tell myself that it's a good place to come back to for like positivity or something that happy that happened or that could be like my wins, like if I'm like writing in depth about my wins it could be in there and then I just mark the page anyway, or I could do it in my happy journal. I don't know, but I'm having multiple books doesn't really work for me, so I'm just like I want to write down all the happy memories and the wins and things like that. So anyway, I'll figure it out,
I
but
I think so many times we like love the idea of having so many things to like
yeah.
places to write all these like fun, cool things down, and then we realize it becomes too much, right? That was why I went to Notion originally. It was that I can like categorize
Yep.
everything, right? But I think so many times it's not just about like writing the good and writing all the good stuff. Like write it all, write anything, right? Like, just,
Yeah.
I know it's gonna be hard, and I think that's something like, and again, know yourself, like we say in every episode, right? You might not care, right?
Yeah.
Another thing is you might feel that it's not worth it writing every day. So like maybe writing a letter. This is something I did in 2024, and I got a notification about it this year, or it was 2023 I did it, and I got a notification, or maybe it was, I don't know when it was, but whatever. I think it was 2024. Yeah, it was 2024 at the beginning of the year. I wrote a letter to myself about how the month went. And then I future dated, like I put a reminder for the future for it to go off a year later so I can read it.
Huh.
And I loved every moment of reading it because I realized that who I was then is not who I am now.
Yeah.
And the challenges that I went through. So even things like that, right? Like it doesn't have to be today you're writing it. It doesn't have to, you can literally check in on yourself once a week if you want, once a month. Set a reminder for next year to reread it. I'm telling you, your life will feel different when you start reading when you tell yourself, I need to go check in what I did last year.
Yeah.
Because so many times we think, oh, it's a new year. Did we who our bodies don't realize there's a calendar. Our body
Yeah.
realizes that there's the sun. Our bodies realize that there's a sleep cycle. It does not realize that there's a calendar. It does not realize that there's 365 days of the year. In
Yeah.
our head, we just get a year older, right?
Yeah.
It's a year of, right? So from like the day you're born, your birthday to the next birthday that's a year for your body in a way, right? So you have to think about that too, right? Like this is not a natural year, right? Also think about children. Children, if you're a parent with children in school, it makes even more less sense to you in a sense because school year starts in the summer and ends in the summer.
Yeah.
So I think we need to break this idea of it's a new year. Instead, we need to say, what did I do last month? What did I do last week? What did I do this day? Right? And that's part of this, right? And then once you figure out these little things, you go back, you review, you do all the things. The next step is to then create that vision, right?
Yeah.
Did I reach the goal I wanted last year? Did I reach that goal I wanted last year? Did I reach that goal I wanted this year? Right? Okay, maybe I need to put that back on my vision board. Or like maybe my goal last year was, I don't know, to have 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Well, maybe this year, and this is not true, I'm just making up some crazy like scenario. But like, what if this year's scenario is I realize that I don't want to be a YouTuber, right? I realize that I just want to do I want to go make digital products. So I wouldn't put that goal that I didn't even accomplish last year for this year because it doesn't align with me anymore.
Yeah. I I was gonna look and see if we had making vision boards or talking about vision boards. Oh, we do. Visions and goals. I just didn't want to like go super deep into it if we were gonna talk about it later. But I haven't even started my vision board yet.
No,
I
I
haven't
haven't.
started mine yet. And so I need to do all the things that we're talking about right now. And I've been listening to podcasts that have been talking about what we're talking
Mhm.
about now. And just I need to go back and just reflect on my year. And
Yeah.
then I want to make my vision board though. I want to make it before January.
Yeah.
Um and I think it's important to not go too far in advance. Like a year in advance is fine, or I know Ashley was doing a monthly one, which I think is so fun.
Mhm.
Um, I think my issue, and I guess I can talk about this now, but I chose the word. One of my words is limitless, and
Mhm.
I feel like that's such a perfect word for me because I give myself so many limits, like in my head, and I can say out loud like, "Oh, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that," and I can say it, but I don't believe it. And am I ever gonna believe it? I don't know until it happens, but I want to be better about taking away limits on my life. And so when I make vision boards, I think that's the hardest thing for me is like, what do I put on there because I hold myself back. And so that's like some, and I think a lot of people feel that way too. I don't know, I'm not alone in that. But I think that that's something I keep hearing people be like, you have to be a little delulu. You got to be like a little
I love
delusional.
that. You were telling me this and I died laughing because it's so
Hmm.
true. I
Hmm.
literally was like, she messaged me this and I just busted out laughing because I was like,
Yeah.
it's so true that like you have to like let go of the standard and just get crazy. Like, so again, I asked ChatGPT for like my year in review kind of thing. And ChatGPT literally called me out and says, Ashley, you need to stop holding yourself back because so many times you ask me if this is okay, your original idea, and then you go for this whole thing with me just to come back to your original idea. Like you are creative. Go do it. Right? I think that's part of that delusion is just go do it. What's the worst that's gonna happen?
Yeah. I am a pretty firm believer that you can basically teach yourself to do almost anything and you can get good at almost anything. Like the exceptions would be like I could never be an NBA player because I'm too short. That's like a physical limitation. But other than that, like there's not much that I couldn't do. And so I'm the only person that's holding me back
Yeah.
from the things that I'm like, well, this person did it. And I need to start remembering that again because I used to do that. I used to be really good at it, being like, this person did it. If
Why
they
can't I?
can do it, then anyone can do it. They've already done it. So it's already proof that it can be done, even things that haven't been
Well,
done.
why are you compare yourself to someone else? Why don't you look back at your life and say, "Well, I did this, I did that. Why can't I do this?"
Well, but I'm talking about like things that seem like they're out of my
Oh,
league.
it's actually impossible. I get that.
Things that seem like, well, that person did it, but that doesn't mean that I could do it. But it does. It does. And when we're talking about vision boards, that's the hardest part for me is like putting things on there that I'm, that I want to put things on there that's also like harder. Not just like I want to have, bit better fitness and like I do put that kind of stuff on there. But I want to put some like kind of delusional things on there because why not? I'm the only person that's saying, well, I couldn't do that within a year. Well, how do you know that?
It's so
How do
true.
you
I
know?
mean, if you look back, like, at my vision board, I feel like, did I accomplish everything? And that's another thing. It's like, look back at your actual vision board. Like, if you didn't make a vision board last year, it's okay. It is actually okay. You can make a new vision board this year. It's not gonna, like, you know I'm
And
looking
the
for
thing
red.
about making like setting goals, making vision boards and all that, even if you don't accomplish all of the things on there exactly how you think, and this is where the pivot part comes in, you might have had to pivot and do things a little differently. Or maybe like I had on there, I'm just trying to think of my vision board that I made last year. I wanted to do more like Shabbat and do
Mhm,
more of that with my family. And there I didn't do it every single Friday. Like we weren't every single Friday like doing a
mhm.
Shabbat, but I did it a lot more because it was on my vision board. And so it wasn't like exactly how I saw it going, but like my kids know what Shabbat is and they know about Jewish holidays and things like that. And that was my goal. So even if it didn't like play out like I maybe thought it would,
It still
I
played out.
still
But
I
that's part of
still like
pivot, right? That's
that.
part of the pivot is
Yeah.
having that vision and being able to, like, be like, "Okay, you know what? It's not exactly what I visualized, but it's still
Yeah.
close what in
Yeah.
the way it should be." And
Yeah.
I think that's such a good lesson though, is that it's okay to have this big goal and to show up as much as you can for it, but it's okay also not to show up at 100% the way you visualize it a year ago or 6 months ago or 8 months ago.
Yeah.
I think it's also okay to say, how can I get creative with this goal, right? This might be my goal, right? You want to do Shabbos, right? And maybe this is a new goal for your family, right? I don't do Shabbos every week right now, so maybe I want to do Shabbos every week with my family. Okay, well, you're not going to get to Shabbos every week if you don't even start now.
Yeah.
Also, right? Like maybe you need time to learn about Shabbos too, right? Like how can I bring Shabbos to my family for it to be for my family?
Yeah. Sometimes it's that girl that I sent you. I swear I like love her. I've been like binging her podcasts and YouTubes. But one thing that she was saying about the vision boards that I thought was really it works in with the pivot. She put on there like wake up at 5 a.m. She wanted to be like the 5 a.m. girl, right? And she's like, I did it. She's like, I did it for like 3 months. I was the 5 a.m. girl. She's like, I know I just said I did it for 3 months and that sounds like I quit. But she's like, I did it for 3 months and realized that because of my lifestyle and like events that she had later in the night and stuff like that, like for work and whatnot, she's like, it didn't work out for me. I couldn't be forever the 5 a.m. girl. But she's like, it was on my board and I did accomplish it, even if it wasn't exactly how I saw it playing out. Like she had to pivot because that just didn't work out. But sometimes you have to put stuff on there and go for it and see. And like we're saying, it might have to change and you might have to change the goal or you accomplish it for a different amount of time than you thought. And I don't know. I think we're like so hard on ourselves when it comes to all that stuff. And we just need to like
Mhm.
be a little delusional. But we'll talk more about,
And
vision
again,
boards
it
in the
doesn't
episode. But
have to be like a 2026 goal sheet. It doesn't have to be a 2026 vision board. It
yeah,
can be quarter one. It could be
yeah,
January. It can be like, this is my goals for January, which are going to be different than maybe my goals for from February to August, which then my goals from, I don't know, September on are going to be different because it's holiday season, right? Like, I think that so many times, again, we hear one idea and we think that we have to do exactly what that idea is. Like we have to copy and paste. Stop with the copy and pasting. It might work for some people, a 2026 vision board. Maybe it doesn't for some people, and that's okay. Know yourself and say, maybe I need a monthly vision board. Maybe I don't even want a vision board, right? Maybe I just want a goal page of like weekly goals.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't know what's gonna be best for you because I'm not you. But
I need to remember, and we can talk about this in another one. I want to remember to break down my goals month by month. I'm like terrible at remembering
yeah.
to do that, and I'm just like, how am I going to reach this big goal? Well, duh, you just break it down into really small habits that you do every single month for 12 months, and then you build to. You know,
Yeah.
I
Well,
it
and I
sounds
think it goes back to the
obvious.
idea that you need to check in with yourself. We're not being mindful enough with ourselves. We're not checking in with ourselves enough. And I know I'm calling everyone out because I know life happens. It's
Yeah,
normal. It's natural, right? But if we want what is next for for each one of us, then we need to put in the time and work. And that means taking 10 minutes a week, maybe when the kids go to bed, maybe it's before they wake up, and checking in with yourself saying, did I reach my goals this week? What do I want to accomplish next week, right? What did I not like this week? How did I maybe behave this week that was absolutely terrible? And
yeah,
how can I
yeah,
behave better next week? Or maybe I did something so amazing this week, like, I don't know, I solved a problem that I've been trying to solve for 6 years, right? Then maybe that's what you write down. But checking in with yourself and being real, and it doesn't have to be once a week. It could be every Tuesday. It could be twice a week,
yeah. Every
Tuesday,
night.
Thursday. Yeah, it could be a 5-minute check-in every night, right? Put it somewhere though where you're gonna be able to go back and see it though.
There are
Don't just
some
like
journals that I think include that too. Like an
yeah.
evening, just check in. How was the day? What went well?
Or go
Yeah,
make your own. Go make your
yeah,
own. I don't
yeah,
whatever you wanna do.
yeah,
Literally, it doesn't matter, but it's so important to check in with yourself, and when you check in with yourself, you realize that you've been pivoting even maybe. You've
yeah,
been doing the stuff, like we said, some weeks you're surviving, some weeks you're thriving, and that's okay, right? And that's part of your goals are gonna be the same way. Sometimes you're surviving on your with your goals, and sometimes you're thriving with your goals, right?
yeah,
But I think at the end of the day, when you look at your next year, say, what did I do last year? What can I do different? And then say, I have this great vision. But then tell yourself, it's okay if I have to pivot. It's okay if I need more for myself, or if this goal needs to be bigger, or if this goal needs to disappear, or this goal needs to be less. Right. And I think our next episode, we're gonna really dive more into, okay, well, you know, what is happening? Like, how do I reach my goal? Sorry. Ari's falling is tired little baby. But our next episode, we're gonna be talking about like the motion control of what's next. So like we're really talking about you like how you can't control the year, but you can control how you show up. And this is part
yeah,
of it, right? This is
yeah,
taking that, okay, I can be flexible, I can do all these things. Now taking that same control into next year. So I really want, like, when you listen to this episode, I really want you to take away the idea that 2026 is just this like crazy scheme of ideas our body never knew about, right? We're just telling ourselves, oh, it's a new year, so we have to be a new me. No, it is a new month, so we're going to show up differently than we did last month. And what am I going to do differently? What are my goals, right? And I think, okay, you could say, okay, I'm going to write a vision board for the next 365 days because, again, that's what we're taught to do. Or you can say, hey, I'm going to go down and say, what did I do this year? What am I going to do different? Let's go into January with some goals and then go from January and pivot from there.
yeah. It's so true. Yeah, we do always wait for like the Monday or whatever, January 1st. And it's like, it's an arbitrary name for another day that you're waking up in space and time.
A
And like
Hallmark
every single
holiday.
day, you can just pretend, you could be delusional, pretend like today's January 1st and just go with that and pretend like today's your new start. Like
Exactly.
every day. Yeah.
So, and then our episode we will have leading into January 1st, we will then really dive into our goals and our vision. So I think let's take this as like a three-parter. We want you to walk away with the idea you can pivot whatever you're thinking is your vision and your goal, but make sure you check in with last year
Yeah.
before you start next year. And then next week we're going to talk about how to kind of like deal with those emotions that come with this pivot. And then our final episode will really be like, what is those visions and goals then after we kind of like dealt with all the, emotions and all the, the revisions and the
How to
pivoting
be
and like just kind of reviewing and checking in.
how to be delusional, make awesome goals for
Yeah.
the whatever amount of time you want,
It's awesome.
and like breaking them down, like I said, and accomplishing so much next year.
Yeah, and just again, check in with yourself. It doesn't matter if you checked in for the last 8 months with yourself. It doesn't matter if you checked in with yourself last night. Continue to make time for yourself. That was something ChatGPT told me. ChatGPT said that you are constantly doing everything for everyone else. Even when you think you've created me time for yourself, you are only creating me time to create content. And it's important that you create me time just for you.
Yeah.
And so I think that I'm gonna say that same lesson to you all. Make sure in your calendar that me time isn't just to fold socks and laundry and watch a show. That
Yeah.
laundry does not exist if you're watching that show during your me time, right?
Yeah.
I know you have a million errands to do, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but maybe it's once a week you create that me time. But make sure during that me time you add that as a task. We are challenging you to check in.
Yes.
And we love you all. I gotta go put my baby to sleep. He's absolute hot mess. We currently are not in our normal setting, if you can tell. We traveled on a 5-hour flight and we are now in a total different time zone. We are 3 hours ahead. And we've been up since almost, I think we've been up since like 4-ish. So it is almost nap time for this baby. And it's time to let you all go. We love you all. That's
Thanks
just
for being here, and
what?
share this with a friend. And we'll see you for more vision and goal setting for the new year.
Yeah, and we love you all. Again, talk to us. Tell us what you need too. Like, we want to hear from you.
Yes.
Like, we make these episodes for us with you all in mind because this original idea of our podcast was to take our conversations that empower us and bring them to y'all and empower y'all. So if we're not empowering you, then we're not doing what we wanted to do here. And we're empowering each other. We want to make sure we're empowering you. And we love you all. Bye bye.
Thanks for spending time with us today and being part of our Hermit Haven community.
We hope you enjoyed our cozy chat and are inspired to embrace your inner hermit.
Remember, even in the quiet moments, you're never alone on this journey because we are truly all in this together.
So until next time, stay cozy, stay true to yourself, and keep spreading love wherever you go.
Bye for now.
We'll see you next time.